So one moment, and all right, one moment, we will be getting started. All right, welcome, guys. I'm super excited about this chat. I am echoing. All right. Super excited about this chat. Super excited to be working on this. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, largely because this is what I've been doing for a whole lot of time. For a lot of time, helping people to produce weddings, maximize their budgets, and all of that. So I'm really excited about that. As promised, my goal is to get through this content super fast. We're going to get through it nice and briefly because obviously our audience for this is couples, people who are getting married, who are planning their weddings. And you guys don't have a whole lot of time, right? You're busy visiting venues, talking to family, and all of that. So I'm going to make this the actual content part nice and brief and get right to it. But the first thing I want to do is just introduce myself super fast. If you're on this webinar, I take it you know who I am. But my name is Faye Shalla. I am the owner of Statuesque Events. We are an event planning company. We've been in business for over 15 years at this point, and we love what we do. Currently, we are working on Wedded Details, which we're so excited about it. It's a nationwide wedding planning service, and we make wedding planning affordable for everyone. For those who don't know, only about maybe 20% of the market, 20 to 25% of the market currently uses wedding planners, and largely because of the cost, right? Most wedding planning fees are out of reach for the average couple who's planning a wedding around $30,000, $40,000. And we're really excited about bridging that gap with Wedded Details. So really excited that you guys are here, and this content is going to be perfect for you. Now, with that, let's get right into it. I titled this How to Plan a 50K Wedding That Looks and Feels Like a 100K Wedding, specifically because that's what most people are looking to do, right? You may not necessarily be trying to plan a wedding that looks like it's a 100K wedding, but you do want it to feel good. You want it to be beautiful. You want your family and friends to have a great experience, right? And you just may not have 100K to pull it off. And that's what we're really excited about helping you to do, helping you to achieve whatever you use our wedded detail services, and also giving you a couple of things to think about as we go through this webinar. But the first thing I want to say is that, like I said, we've been doing this for many years, and at our company over the years, we've planned weddings of a lot of different budgets, right? Anywhere from 30-ish K all the way up to I'm talking like $500,000 weddings, right? We've done weddings that fill the full gamut. But I will say that especially in that 40, 50, 60K range, there are a lot of things that you can do to really stretch your budget and to make it look much more beautiful, to really maximize your budget. And there are a few mistakes also that you want to avoid to make sure you're not spending all your money in one place and not having money left over to make it look great. All right. So the first thing I want to say is that based off of my experience, what we've done and what we continue to do through Wedded Details, it is possible to have a very beautiful wedding, to have a wedding that feels luxurious, and all of those things, though you are spending 50K on your wedding. You have to believe that first. Otherwise, everything else that we're going to talk about is slightly irrelevant, right? But it's important to know that it's possible to believe it. And I hope that you can borrow my belief with that as well and know that, hey, I'm telling you because we've done it before. Now, the second thing I want to do, I'm going to cut right straight to the chase, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm sharing a spreadsheet. Who doesn't love a spreadsheet? And I'm sharing this spreadsheet and I decided to do it in this spreadsheet form just to make it really quick and easy to look over really briefly, right? So on the left, I'm listing different budget categories that pretty much every wedding needs. And then I've listed how a 100K someone with a 100K budget will spend and how someone with a 50K budget would spend. Now, obviously, there is about a 50K, actually, in this example, is about a 55K difference between the two budgets. However, the vast majority of those savings is coming from four categories, right? And that is something that I wanted to call out, and we're going to get more into that in a bit. I think a lot of people are trying to save $200 there, $100 there, and trying to make big savings, and it's really difficult to do that, right? Most of these huge savings, the vast majority of it, almost, I would say about 38 40,000 or so, almost 40 grand of it is coming from just four categories. And it's really important to keep that in mind because those are the things that you want to focus on when it comes to saving for your wedding. Again, the audience for this is couples, and we're really excited to share more about how you can reach that, right? And all right, so those four categories are your liquor package, your bar package at your venue, wedding planning, florals and design, and lighting. Right. So those four categories are great places to save. Now, in all the other categories, there are little savings here and there as well, which add up to the total savings that we were able to find, like comparing these two budgets, these two real wedding budgets. But this was where the majority of the savings came. And that's really important to know. Nickeling and diming one or two vendors is probably not going to get you there. It's really about your whole approach to how you plan weddings and your whole strategy towards it. All right. So that's something that I wanted to share. Now, I'm going to come back to this in a second, but I'm going to stop sharing. I didn't want this to be a PowerPoint. I wanted to really talk to people. So, a couple of common mistakes or a common misconceptions that I wanted to talk about. Number one, having a wedding that feels beautiful and feels luxurious is never about one thing. It's never about one thing. I think it's very common for couples to spend 80% of their budget on a venue that looks nice and then penny pinch everything else. And in the end, what you're probably doing is just marketing that venue because people are going to come in and be like, wow, this is a pretty venue, right? But there wasn't much else that was personalized, that was memorable about your wedding. It was just a nice venue, and that was it. So, and no one wants, you don't want your wedding to just be an ad for a venue. You want to create something that's customized, right? What makes a wedding feel luxurious, what makes it feel customized, what makes it feel you is a combination of everything. It's really the strategy of how you're pulling the entire event together, not just one thing. And for a lot of people try to make that one thing the venue. It's not your job to market the venue, it's your job to have a beautiful event, right? And as an event planner myself, in our company, that's what we do is we try to curate something that's customized, that's unique, that looks great for you, not just advertising a venue, right? The second thing I've talked about already is you can't nickel and dime your way to major savings in your wedding. Hustling your photographer out of the extra $300 or telling your makeup artist that you need $100 off. And all those little things is not the thing that's going to make you save big and maximize your wedding budget, right? Where that's really going to come from is your whole approach to wedding planning, which is why one thing we've always done in our business, be it statuesque events or wedded details, one thing we've always done from the very beginning is create a detailed budget, very similar to what I just showed you, customized for your budget, of course, to help you to understand how much you should be spending in each category, right? That's way more important than blowing your whole budget on half of the items and then trying to scrounge past, the end. Nickeling and diming your way through it's first of all, very stressful. It's not the best way to get the best out of your vendors, but trying to undercut them either. And it's just, you may not even get the result you're looking for, right? Like you just may never find that $200 DJ, right? And so it's better to just have a better approach from the beginning that is more cohesive and that is realistic for your wedding. So just one moment. All right, sorry about that. All right, so you can't nickel and dime your way to savings, and that's something to keep in mind. So the whole approach is what matters. The other thing that's important to consider is a lot of the things I just said that are common mistakes come when you try to plan the wedding on your own, right? And I mentioned earlier that a shocking 70% of people in the US plan their weddings without a wedding planner. Just one moment, please. So sorry about that. I had an alarm going off in our place, but we're back. So a lot of the mistakes that people make when it comes to planning your wedding do come from trying to do it all on your own, right? If you look at any forum, be it Reddit, Facebook groups, anywhere else, you'll see that most of the mistakes come from people saying, "Oh, I wish I knew this before I started planning. I wish I knew this before I started planning. Oh my gosh, the wedding ran 2 hours late because this, and this happened. And had I known, I wish I had done X, Y, and Z ahead of time, right? Mind you, the people who are writing these things on the forums were reading other people's forums before they tried to plan their own event, right? To try to avoid all the issues, and they still did not. So it's important to keep that in mind that it's still important to look to professionals to help you to manage your event and to prevent avoidable mistakes early on in the process. It's really important to avoid those mistakes and issues and challenges early on in the process. So trying it all alone just to save yourself a couple $1,000s is not the best route. And I understand that most wedding planners, prices are out of reach when you're trying to plan a wedding for 50K or under. However, that's part of the reason that we even created wedding details in the first place, to give you the resources that you need to have an organized wedding, even if your budget is a little bit tighter. Now, I talked about this webinar is not only about design, but it's also how to make a wedding, how to plan a wedding that looks and also feels like a 100K wedding. So, like I said, we've planned multiple six-figure weddings, high-end weddings. And one of the things when I've, spoken with clients and I say, what weddings have you attended that were memorable for the right reasons? What wedding events have you attended that were memorable for the right reasons? Decor comes up, but more commonly, what comes up is that it's organized, right? Meaning that number one, the event starts on time. If it's supposed to start at 1 o'clock, it starts at 1 o'clock, or at least seating is available at 1 o'clock and it starts at 1:30, right? An event that actually starts on time. I know it's a common conception that weddings are always late. They shouldn't be, right? Because that doesn't feel luxurious. It doesn't feel honoring of the people who, took time out of their schedule to make sure they made it to your wedding on time. The second thing is clear communication. Everyone knew exactly what to do at each point. And not just your vendors, but your family, your friends, your wedding party, right? Everyone knew exactly where to be for makeup, for photos, for everything. It was clear and it was smooth, which allowed them to show up well so that you're actually starting on time, right? And everything flows smoothly. Another big thing, huge, and this is like always our goal whenever we're building timelines, is having plenty of time to actually dance. Lots of people have weddings where you're like rushing and there's no time to dance, no time to take selfies, no time to use the photo booth. By the time you got to the photo booth, it was closed or it was gone, or like all of those things feel chaotic. Like literally having plenty of time to actually enjoy yourself, not just rushing in and out of the formalities. And then also food service is quick so that again, you're spending more time on the dance floor versus waiting for your chicken. So those are the things that make a wedding feel like 100K, and all of that is done in the planning phase and in organizing. So again, I want to share the chart one last time, and then we're going to talk about what these things look like. So now that you understand what it looks like to, what our goal is and what we're going for, here we are. We are going for what generally helps to really maximize your budget would be number one, choosing a venue that allows you to bring your own liquor. That doesn't mean you get to serve your own liquor. You still will have to use a licensed bartender or two or three or four, depending on how many guests you have. But being able to have your own bar package. And speaking of guests, this is all assuming you have a wedding of about 100 to 120 guests. Now, if you're planning for 400, 500 people, it starts to balloon, of course. But just for the sake of keeping everything the same, assuming 100 to 120 guests, which is the average guest count in the US, this is what we're planning for. So if you're bringing your own liquor, a friend or family member is just dropping off liquor for your catering team or for your bartender to serve to guests, there's not many reasons to spend more than $1,000, right? To buy liquor and wine in bulk, drop it off for your bartender and everybody else to serve. Then we also, so that's one huge area of savings versus paying anywhere from 30, 40, 50, 60 in some places per person on a bar package internal. Now, this has a lot to do with your venue choice. And if you already have a venue, you've already made a decision here. But some other things are below. Second is a wedding planner. In most cases, anyone who's planning a wedding for about $100,000 is hiring a wedding planner for about 15 to $20,000. Right here, for the sake of budget, I put 15. And you can see a huge area of savings there is if you use wedded details. So if you book our wedded details full planning package, It is 28.99, and that includes our service to plan, help you find your vendors, plan your timeline, emails to vendors, reviewing contracts, all of that, plus a local day of coordinator. Like I said, this is a nationwide service, so we do have partners in every city, and we work through those coordinators, and their coordination teams will manage your event using the schedules that we created. Right? They'll do your final walkthrough, your rehearsal, all of that. And we have worked out a way to make this work for 28.99, which is huge savings, but you still get support throughout, organizing your timeline and all of that. And also our team at Wedded Details, both myself and the other lead planner have over 10 years of experience. I have 15, the other lead planner has 11. So you're still working with top tier professionals to get amazing results. The third area is with floral. So we recommend our amazing floral partner, Poppy Flowers. The link is on the page you use to like get to the Zoom link. But Poppy Flowers is amazing. They start at a little over $3,000 for full service wedding florals. But again, assuming you want something a little bit more elaborate, we're just budgeting up to 8 grand here. It's a huge area of savings. They're very straightforward. And my favorite part is you get instant quotes. Every single person that we're recommending, you get instant quotes for. Like I said, the link to work with them is on the page you use, the landing page you use to join the Zoom session. If you're watching the replay, it's right under this video. And not only that, if you use our link, you save an extra $100 on whatever you get. So you can get an instant floral quote, instant design there. It's affordable and they also are nationwide. So we definitely strongly recommend them to be considered for your wedding to maximize your budget. And last but not least is lighting. A lot of people who are, honestly, a lot of people don't even think about lighting when it comes to weddings, particularly when you're on a budget, right? Because it feels like so much is so out of reach. However, we do have another partner who is nationwide and who we've been using for many years for some of our events. And you can get up lighting, you can get your name in a custom gobo. There are different things that you can get. And again, it's very affordable. Now, with them, you do have to build your own package. So I'm going to email after this webinar, I'm going to email recommendations of how, based off of your guest count, what packages you should get. Or I may just link it on the page. I have a guide showing like, okay, this is your guest count. This is how many of each light you should get to make sure that your space is designed and covered. But again, this is another partner that we love, and the link to get quotes and learn how it works is also on the page. With those four things, you're easily saving at least $38,000, right, on your budget. And then there are lots of other things here. Like maybe you don't go with $8,000 photographer, go with a 5,000 photographer. You save a little on video, save a little on the DJ, but for the most part, everything else is the same. We don't want to skim much on catering. It's very important that your food is prepared correctly and all of that. But then these are some major areas of saving. So I hope that this helps and helps you to see ways to save really, really big on your wedding. Um, like I mentioned before, the links for everything is here. So for instance, this is the page that you guys clicked in order to, this is the page that you clicked in order to join the Zoom link. The link is up here. If you're watching the replay, the video will be up there. You can explore our packages here. And then, yeah, you can explore the packages. You can see the pricing and all of that here and book. And then as the next step, you can also book our design partners. Poppy Flowers and our lighting package partner. All of that is on the page. It's easy for you to move forward with. So I hope that this has been helpful. If you have any questions at all, you can always leave a comment on this video. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can leave a comment on the video. We do reply to every comment. We try as much as possible to reply in a day or two at the very most, if not in a couple hours. And if you're watching this replay, you can also just email us via the same email that you received before you access the replay. So we're happy to answer any questions, but don't forget, like Wedded Details is here to help you to produce a fabulous event on your budget, right? So no matter what your budget is, our goal is to stretch it and to make sure that you're getting the most bang for your buck, which is a strategic thing, right? It happens best when we work with you from the beginning versus later on. We do have a final details package where we help you to organize your final details, make sure that they're organized before we hand off to a day of coordinator. We do have that as well. But even if you're like partway through, you've booked a few vendors, I want to strongly encourage you to consider us and let us get you through the rest of the way. All right. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. Like if you're on YouTube. If you're not, no worries. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. All right. So thanks so much.